History of culture, keep the big shows. One set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. They hide the corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clouds. Then you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside every sector, but when it comes to them, they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Baratans too, cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. I done fed up all the dirty water, low pressure, want scream and tell somebody. Imagine 1500 US and they're telling me super salary. I done fed up on the unemployment racism and the lie they say one Guyana. Cause when you look with the oil money going, circulate with one set of banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Welcome to yet another broadcast of Over to You, a program for the people, by the people. Today's date is the 14th day of March, 2026, and I welcome each and every one of you to tonight's broadcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, I know it seems as if it was a quiet week, but it was not. All right? It was not a quiet week. It was not a week that was lacking bloodshed in the lawless cooperative Republic of Guyana. All right? We had bloodshed this week, as it seems as if there must be bloodshed in order for the government to feel as if they are prospering in Guyana. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you, the broader Caribbean, North America, Europe, the continent of Africa. I welcome everyone to this evening broadcast of Over to You, a program for the people, by the people, right here on Bench Up Radio 107.1 FM. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will quickly do the roll call as you guys go ahead and like and share your program. All right. I hope you would have gotten in early today and you don't miss today's roll call. Aileen Norton, a pleasant good evening to you. Aileen Norton, you know, I can't phantom you ever being late for interview, because you were here early o'clock. Early o'clock, you were already signed in. So a pleasant good evening to you. And so was Puran Ramdas from Region 2. Miss Siobhan McDonald, welcome to tonight's broadcast. It's great to see you. Miss Mary Figueroa, welcome to tonight's broadcast. Angeli Abrams, good to see you. Diane Fordyce, the same. It's a pleasure seeing you this evening. The Freedom Fighter, Miss Sandra Hanover, is in the house this evening. Matthew Dennison, Harlem, is in the house. Harlem, New York, down the FDR Drive in Manhattan. Harlem is in the house. Miss Shondell Griffith is in the house. A pleasant good evening to you, my sister. Miss Desiree Smart Felix, our second Canadian in the house, to go along with Miss Mary Figueroa. Miss Fidel Albert, good to see you. Miss Audrey Brown, a pleasant good evening and good to see you also. Patricia Kisoon is in the house. Good evening to you. Miss Brenda Casey, a pleasant good evening to you. Miss Casey, was great having a conversation with you this week. A lot of enlightening. Thank you so much. Miss Desiree Narine, welcome to tonight's broadcast. Rosemary Martindale Brackett, it's great to see you. Brooklyn is in the house. Yes, profoundly, Brooklyn is in the house. Eva, good to see you. Welcome to tonight's broadcast. Dawn Wilson is in the house. And my brother and a fellow freedom fighter, Mr. Asim Shakur. Asim, it's good to Shakur. It's good to see you, sir. Welcome to tonight's broadcast. Karen Clark is in the house. Francis Keith Rockcliffe is in the house. Good evening, sir. Kenneth D. Florman, by way of Maryland, is up in the house this evening. Good to see you. Patricia Sana, good evening. Welcome to tonight's broadcast. Cecil Capel, welcome to tonight's broadcast. Alison Caesar is in the house. I don't know if we're family, Alison, but welcome to tonight's broadcast. Miss Deslyn Wilson in the house. Victoria is here in the house. Julie Eddy, welcome to tonight's broadcast. Robert Cujo is in the house. David Gill, good evening, welcome. Gillian Solomon, Karen Smith, welcome to tonight's broadcast. Lawrence James, welcome to tonight's broadcast. Good to see everyone. Well, Miss Desiree Simons, I understand you're watching. It's good to see you. It's good that you're in the house. Thanks, Miss Brenda Casey. I see your GN, Desiree Simons. So I know that she's in the house somewhere, hiding from me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to tonight's broadcast. All right. As per the government, the PPPC, okay, Guyana is experiencing widespread transformation. Right? That's what we're supposed to be seeing. Widespread transformation, right? Before I even dig into that, I just want to give a big shout out to the APNU on yet another successful street parliament. This one was held up in Linden. Very, very successful. I tuned in last night. And if you've missed it, ladies and gentlemen, you've missed quite a bit. All right. And you know what? Seeing that we on the topic of street parliament, I really want to encourage each and every one of you to join, because I consider all of you to be intellectuals. You're very, very intelligent. That's why we're here. Okay? Sometimes you have programs, guys, that have a whole lot more people than over to you. All right, but some of these programs, you got to look at content. It's lawlessness, it's a lot of profanity and stuff like that. We're not going to do that here. All right, we're not going to do that here. Because when you're negotiating and when you're doing high-level meetings, that's now how it occurs with profanity and all these things. We are professionals here. We are intellectuals here. All right, we are strategic planners here. All right, so again, welcome everyone. Jennifer Prince, I see you here. Emily Durant, a little late getting in. And yes, Miss Desiree Simons, I see you in the house. Floretta Hamilton, yes. All right, you guys got in a little late. Loretta Peters Nicholson, but hey, nevertheless, your name called. All right, street parliament continuing. Yes, there was a lot that was said last evening. But one thing I want to be key to point out, and that's why I say I want all of you to join, because you guys are smart, and I could see it in your comments weekend after weekend. What happened at the last street parliament that was broadcast on the APNU Coalition Live website? Okay, you had a few PPP trolls in there. And I was looking in. I was just looking in. I didn't comment for quite a bit. I did not comment. But what I saw they were trying to create a certain narrative. All right? They were trying to, discourage the viewers. All right? They were trying to discourage the viewers with their narrative and what they were seeing, which was a bundle of nonsense. So I decided to join the comments, right? And when I joined the comments, there were no responses from them. There were no responses. So I want to encourage you guys to join these programs. Okay, because in order for the APNU to make a strong footprint, all right, it has to be proven that they have a constituency. You cannot allow the PPP to send a propaganda machine to infringe on our programs and get their narrative across, which is absolute nonsense. You're talking about transformation and 58% is in poverty. You're talking about transformation and 35% of Guyanese is in abject poverty. I know most of you sat down over this past week. I would have seen that there was an incident with a truck and a gentleman and his wife on a motorcycle with a child, killing the father and child, putting the mother in the hospital, fighting for her life. Cause and effect. That's poverty right there. I'm trying to know if they were bringing the child from school, because that's a whole nother thing there, because we have been calling for them to stop these, not completely stop, but to reduce the Because We Care cash grant and produce buses, provide busing services for school-age children. They must be able to join a bus. That further provides a measure of safety. Right? So this is all the cause and effects of poverty. A little before this program, I would have peeked in and saw that Sandy's funeral home was robbed. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine this. A funeral home was robbed. Okay? A funeral home was robbed. Just now, you're going to see what's going to happen in Georgetown is that Georgetown, when you go in, all you're going to see is security with guns. And how can you call that a good country when everywhere you go, you have people standing up with guns? That's not good. To me, that depicts failure. That depicts government failure. Right? That depicts failure by government. And I said it earlier. I said it on an earlier program that we're going to have a massive issue in Guyana with gangs. We're going to have a massive issue in Guyana with gangs, and they're going to come for the government. They're going to come for government officials. I'm telling you that. Because there'll be nothing to gain robbing the people. With a 60% poverty rate, 35% abject poverty, it doesn't even make sense robbing the people. Right? So, like Member of Parliament Ms. Jorita Fernandez was saying that, government ministers riding around with their Pradas and all these things. I say this to you, you cannot stay behind, and you're not going to want to stay behind those 11 and 12-foot fences that protects you from the public. Or from whatever it is that you feel that you need protection from. Okay? You guys are going to understand in the end that this was all bad decision making when the oil is no longer with us. All right? When the oil is no longer with us and you're looking for those people that you once called partners, they're not going to be nowhere in the zip code. I am sorry to see. I am very, very sorry to see. But what I would have seen coming from the installed president of Guyana proves how unintelligent, how unlearned this gentleman really is. Irfan Ali, had you wanted to have an impact in any negotiations between the United States and Cuba, you would have stepped up. You would have volunteered yourself to be a middleman in the negotiations, right? Instead of taking Cuba, that has been a partner of Guyana for decades, and throwing them under the bus and talking about regime change. Have you examined your regime before talking about regime change? Hmm? Have you examined the PPPC before talking about regime change? Have you examined how many people you guys would have actually killed in the 90s and the 2000s? Hmm? Have you examined how stagnant Guyana was as a nation between 1992 and 2015? 23 straight years. 23 straight years. And yet a PPP supporter would have came on the APNU broadcast yesterday to ask APNU followers what is their reality. And I answered him, their reality is a 58% poverty rate, a 35% abject poverty rate, a government who is biased, a government that does not provide opportunities for all, a government that does not give its citizens justice, a government that does not give its citizens the democratic right to vote in credible elections. That's the reality. So when Leonard Craig wants to come and talk about there is small factions of voices of dissent, first of all, let me make it very clear to you. The factions are not small. There are many voices of dissent. There are many that does not like what the government that you support, Leonard Craig, is dishing out to the everyday Guyanese. Anyhow, continuing with his utterance, his belief is that these small groups is trying to divide and destabilize the nation. That is absolutely not the truth. Okay? What everyone is looking for is equity across the board. Leonard Craig, it doesn't it strike you that it cannot be by chance, but it must be by design, okay, that most of the large businesses in Guyana is owned by Indo-Guyanese? Have you ever really looked into that? Or is it that you're that unlearned? Because when you want to speak on matters such as this, you have to come and you have to bring your receipts. The economic infrastructure in Guyana is not built out for the African Guyanese to be successful. The bank loans that are available to others in Guyana is not available to the African Guyanese. Good example, you guys would have heard what the East Indian partner of Mr. Dorin Bess would have said. That there's a change in government and the ethnicity of at the top of the business need to reflect that change in the government. Hence, he requested Mr. Bess sign over 85% of his business to him. And that is accurate. Because Dorin Bess cannot get a fuel license. Dorin Bess cannot get a fuel license because Dorin Bess is African Guyanese. That is the facts behind this. So when you want to have guys like Egil, Utah, James Mann, and these guys want to sit down and say that the PPP is the best for Guyana, come on, guys. Is it that you're just speaking for your soup? You're just speaking so that your family can be well off? Ladies and gentlemen, when you look at nations like the United States and to some extent Canada and even Great Britain, you see that they have a notion of survival of the fittest. I am not saying that they don't have morals, they do. But in Guyana, we help ourselves and we help all our neighbors around us. Or so it used to be. I stand correcting myself. Or so it used to be. Today we have brought values into the corporate Republic of Guyana that we should have never brought into our country. Look at the guns, man. Look at the guns. I have seen the gangs. I have seen the weaponry that they have. Okay? I have seen that. And I want to say this to all the investors and the external forces that is supporting this government. Right? You want to speak of sovereignty. We want to talk about other nations and these nations being bad and bad to their people. I believe you need to examine yourself to make sure that you are not forcing a government on the people of Guyana, because that is exactly what I believe is happening. And it's not right. It's not right. Because many of you do not have the necessary intelligence to understand the plight of the Guyanese people. And when I say intelligence, I don't mean being smart. I mean, when you speak, you're only gathering information from the PPPC side of the aisle. You're not engaging the opposition. And one of my reasons behind you not engaging the opposition is because when you look at the opposition party, it shows the front of a party that is predominantly black. And I believe that that is the issue. Right? People don't like to point out these issues, but you have to point out facts. Why run away from the facts? If you don't point them out now, it's going to go full circle and come right around that the fact is that they are Africans. That's the fact. I even want on the side of the opposition, I want to see people speaking out more as to what are the true facts that they are facing. If when you go into the background, you hear whispers of people calling you monkeys we need to know. Do not hide facts away from the people. And no African should not allow anybody to call them outside of their names and treat them as if they're not intelligent. We have contributed so much to this world in our inventions, amongst other things. Our foreparents were worked 400 plus years in bondage to build this same world that we live in today. So no one could tell you that you don't have a right being here. When the Indians arrived in Guyana, they arrived finding an emancipated people. We fought. Our foreparents fought for their freedom. Yes. One Egil, Mark Phillips, Leonard Craig, James Bond, Hugh Todd. And yes, Sherwin Holder, you're a hypocrite. Not forgetting Jermaine Figueroa. Shame on you. Shame on you. It's just disgusting looking at you guys. And then you guys want to jump out the ERC amongst others and try to condemn the great and honorable Dr. David Hines when he speak of lick bottoms. Lick bottoms it is. Speak what you see. Don't try to chocolate coat it. Speak it as you see it. Opposition, continue with your street parliament. Continue working hard. I want to say something to Mark Anthony Benchop, Sherrod Duncan, Rickford Burke, Kidaki Amsterdam, Mr. Paul Slow, and all those people who over the last 5 years has been voices of dissent. Sometimes when the opposition couldn't show, you guys showed up and showed out. There is no one person who was the voice of the opposition in those 5 years. We had so many programs. We had so many programs. So many of these guys got sanctioned by the ERC. Kidaki got locked up. They put out wanted bulletins and all these things to Rickford Burke. Persecution. So there's no one person. And then how can we forget you guys? How can we forget you guys? You guys are here 24/7. That's why you have these programs. You can't have a program without support. You can't have a program without viewership. So I want to say thanks to everybody who would have turned on their cameras. Colin Barnwells, the Wayne Archers, the John Thompsons. It has to be a collective, ladies and gentlemen. And it is because there are certain people who behaves as if they care about people when they're looking for self-glory. They're looking for self-glory. This is not going to be a self thing. There's no one person that can conquer what is happening in Guyana. It will take a collective. And let me say this to you guys. 2025 presented a grand opportunity. But it is because of that same selfishness. All right? That same self-glory that I speak of. That's why the opposition leader was not supported in his run for president. You see, if you were really smart, and this is to all of those people who cussed down and went on, if you was really smart, and you were really thinking overnight, and not thinking about glorifying yourself, you know. Because that's what we do. People come on and they glorify themselves. And the Guyanese people have to be careful of that. You have 1,000 voices speaking to you. That's why I always say to the people, vet your leaders. Vet the people who come and present to you. Vet them. Wayne Caesar and everybody else. Vet us. Make sure that we're authentic. Make sure that what we are saying and in our hearts, right? In our hearts, we have hearts of servitude to you, the people, and not self-serving, looking to glorify ourselves, looking for attention. How can one man have more value than the masses? Never. The masses always win out, no matter what. Like I say, sometimes when people come and speak, and when people go on programs and speak and these things, you have to pick your words carefully. You have to pick your words carefully. And you still see it now. The parties are not working together. The parties are not working together because somebody must come out with an upper hand. Okay? Somebody is looking for that self-glorification. The needle has not moved. The needle, as a matter of fact, this needle is way behind what APNU was doing. What today is better than the last 5 years? Ladies and gentlemen, I look at your comments. What today is better than what we experienced the last 5 years? What has the new opposition party done? Oh my God, Marina Saul, thank you. Thank you. I'm now going through and seeing this. Marina Saul, a 4-month-old baby on a motorcycle, is because that family could not afford to probably, the man could have ridden home on his motorcycle and put the wife and child in a taxi. But poverty, you're trying to cut corners so that you could cover the expenses of the home and you could cover all your expenses when the month comes, because expenses is more than your income. That's the reality of poverty right there. Thank you, Angelique Abrams. The baby was full. Imagine that. Imagine that. And people are talking about transformation. People are talking about transformation. A broken healthcare system. A healthcare system that is seeing a spike in the HIV virus amongst Guyanese. A healthcare system that would have seen 2 people jump to their deaths from the GPHC. Four-month-old. Charlene A. Moses, good evening. Good evening, Mr. Victor Man. Conan Marshall is in those. Blessings to you, my brother. Austin Ogle, good evening. Noah Lawrence, Wayne, one thing I like about Conan Marshall's show, he respects everyone. Conan is a good guy. I'll endorse Conan Marshall any day. He fights. Conan Marshall fights. Whether there's danger or not, Conan Marshall is there. Okay? And he's highlighted so much for us. The water issue in Linden, the dumping issue in Linden, the issue of the Wismar Mackenzie Bridge, and so much more. All right. Connor Marshall is a multi-talented individual. Operating heavy equipment, I think he trains people how to operate heavy equipment and all. Look, we have talented people in Guyana. And when you talk about that highlighter team and you look across the board, all those individuals are talented in their own right. Okay? Asim, who is here, I think Asim is architecture and construction. Jason Benjamin, former Guyana GDF, and of course, very talented gentleman, Theodore Adams, Israel Garden, right? So much power to the highlighter team. And they are part of the voices of dissent. So I believe it's disingenuous when any one person is gonna come out and say that, they felt like if they were the opposition. I believe you're overlooking your other colleagues who are in the same fight with you. And I believe that that is essentially the problem that we are facing today. All right. As Guyanese, that's why we are not feeling a government in power today. I tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a team that has already tasted the honey and you are close to the honey, all right, don't start fighting amongst each other. You got to get the honey first. Get to the honey, dispatch of that other team, get the honey first, and then you guys, figure out your issues. But we got this way. Oh, I want this person be leader. Oh, he's ugly. He's black. Listen, that ain't going nowhere. All this fight that is happening right now, I'm telling you guys, it ain't going nowhere. Out there and I'm going to say this, the quote unquote professional world, y'all ain't going anywhere. It's just a bundle of crabs in a barrel fighting themselves, and everybody gonna take that whole barrel of crabs and put it on the side and go about their business. That's how they're gonna deal with it. So all these things where we come and we try to formulate programs to attract people, man, you gotta attract people with positive things, man. You gotta attract people with a vision for success, right? We got young children that's gonna come up tomorrow. Look at how young children are behaving. Look at the young people. So whenever you host a program and you coursing and going on, that's a show that you're being selfish. You're not thinking that this program may get out there where a young man or a young woman, right? You're just thinking about yourself. You're thinking about your viewership. And I say this, shame on the Guyanese people, because all of you flock to these programs of gossip and stuff like that. That's not doing anything. While you guys do this, the PPP continue to pump the oil. They continue to take everything. They continue to make all the decisions, right? All unilateral decisions. And holistically, the opposition continues to weaken. The 12 in parliament, they continue to do a good job. The Win Party, they're still trying to find their footing. Let's be honest, they're not experienced. And I must say this, there are individuals in that Win Party that would have served under the APNU. I have not seen that experience come to the forefront. And it's a shame because I expected that those individuals would have been able to lead from the front based on their experience in the parliament. But I've seen a lot of errors. I've seen errors that, people refuse to walk back. Right? I have seen a lot of misquotations. And one of them is that the opposition leader, the former opposition leader, Aubrey C. Norton, would have said that the current opposition leader, Azruddin Mohammed, would have been the head of the Phantom Squad. Now, come on, how could that be true? How could that be true? That is an individual or a group of people trying to plant a seed to start an issue. And when you do things like that, you have to be educated. Yeah, the PNC has a constitution. Okay? Aubrey C. Norton was elected. All right, not selected. He was elected leader of the PNCR and by extension APNU. You have to go through the proper diplomatic channels if you want to remove a leader. At the same time, ladies and gentlemen, when you're removing a leader, you must have a competent, I say it again, a competent individual to replace that leader and to execute. Because I'll be honest with you, what I see is a lot of sitting down. I want this spot, I'm going in this spot, and when I get in this spot, I'll sit down. While everybody's sitting on the PPP runaway train continues. 43 minutes after the hour of 7 Eastern Standard Time here in the USA. And I know it is 43 minutes or 17 minutes to 8 on the ground in Guyana. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to Over to You, a program for the people, by the people. And I am honored to be your host this evening. All right. As we continue, there must be sustained collaboration between all parties in opposition. I don't know how long I am going to be hosting programs, but I'm getting to the point where I'm closing and I'm calling out some of these leaders. Because if you think that you're going to sit down there and call yourself a leader, commanding respect for the people, from the people, okay, and you're not going to be executing on their behalf, it is just not going to work. You are signed up for this. And when you sign up for something, you have to execute. Not every day, ladies and gentlemen, and I know most of you work. Not every day that you get up, you feel like working, right? But you have to work, right? You have to work. And ladies and gentlemen, this is especially when you are working for the people. Because you have to understand that many are depending on you. When I see leaders walking and they try to negotiate with each other and they try to talk with each other, I've never seen them pull in and say, look, I am saying this because it is beneficial for the people of Guyana. People are always, oh, well, I want it this way, and if it can't be this way, no, you don't have my vote. You're not voting for yourself. You're voting for a constituency, a group of people. You know? You could be like, okay, hold up. You'll need to give me some time. Let me get back to the ground and put this proposal before the people and see what they think about it. Right? See what they think about it. Look, you guys remember there's many times that you guys have called, oh, Wayne, we need to have multiple programs. We need to do this. We need to do that. Well, I've taken that and I have proposed it. I propose what the people want, not what I can do, not what I think I can do. If I don't have time, then I have to make it. Right? This is about consistency. This is not about coming, opening your mouth, looking to continue to be relevant, and then you're going away. Right? You got to be consistent. That's what the PPP has been. Consistent with their rhetoric. Rhetoric that is not favorable to the Guyanese people. Rhetoric that does not produce a positive outcome for Guyanese. Look, the APNU had the best read, the best manifesto that I have ever seen. Guyanese, and I speak to you this evening. I speak to you this evening. You didn't read that manifesto. Many of you. You didn't examine that manifesto, making a comparative analysis with your current situation and what that manifesto could have done for you, your family, your children, your future generations to come, future bloodlines to come. Oh, no. A new party was formulated. All right? And many of you, and Guyanese are, look, I'm saying this straight to you guys. You guys worship money. That's what you're doing. You're worshiping the dollar. And you will find, okay, that will not solve your issues. It will not. Many people cry out, oh, the cash distribution should be this amount, that amount. Although I do believe that $100,000 is way below par. You could have given out $1 million and poverty would still remain. We got to have the programs in place. We got to have the education in place. And we have to have a willing people in order to eradicate poverty. Right? We got to have a willing people. That's why I would have said to the opposition that, look, you may not be able to convince the entire nation, but start in your strongholds and go and regather those villages. Go and speak to those people. For quite a bit of time, you were missing in action. That's why other parties could have gone into their village, into your villages, with material things and would have lured your people to vote for them. Now, I ask the question to those people who would have voted for new party and would have crossed over to the PPP. It's an honest question. How have your life changed since? How have your life changed since you would have received those couple shillings for your vote? Ladies and gentlemen, we must keep our morals in place. Let's not allow our right to vote to become a monetary transaction. That is not good. It don't bode well. Because then elections would be a thing of buying and selling. Right? That's what it's going to become. One thing I must say, I notice there's a lot of talk about budget, economics, and money. While I believe that is key, ladies and gentlemen, I must say, if any change is going to occur, there must be change at the Guyana Elections Commission. There must be a new voters list with biometrics to accompany it. So that should not be lost. I mean, in my opinion, and I've said it, that should be priority. Because that's how the change is going to come about. We continue to see massive budgets being passed, but no kind of money to reform the Guyana Elections Commission that needs reforming. No kind of monies to reform the Guyana police force that needs reforming. You see one big, massive building going up on breakdown. But I asked the purpose of that building. Is that building is going to be used for a police force that will have all the necessary spy equipment, amongst other things, to keep the Guyanese people suppressed and oppressed while their wealth is extracted and taken somewhere else? Hey, I'm just asking the questions here. I'm just basically asking the questions here based on what I see. Okay? Based on what I see. To know that the PPP is already lining up people. Priyamani Chan. I see they had a picture of Edgil up there and a few others. And they're talking about who is going to take over from Irfan Ali. You can see that this is a deeper plan. This is a deeper plan. And whether we want to believe it or not, we may have other fringes, other parties there, but Guyana may have already slipped in to a dictatorship / one-party state. So everybody in the opposition who believe that it is cool to fight and fight down non-APNU, fighting this person fighting that person. Ladies and gentlemen, a clear picture is going to be painted for you guys. All right? Because this fight down that I'm seeing is quite concerning to me. Right? I didn't want to say it here this evening because I still believe that it needs more time. Right? This extradition case and all these things that are going on, all of these things to me seems to be distractions. And it can lead to a position where everyone is working together. I want the Guyanese people to really wisen up and to really evaluate what is happening there. Right? There's definitely a reason why APNU was reduced to 12 seats. There's definitely a reasoning behind that. I believe the APNU truly represents what the Guyanese people need. And that is good, authentic governance. Governance without lawlessness and corruption. Right? 5 minutes to the hour of 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here in the US. I'll just peep through you guys' comments. No, Noel Lawrence. No, I'm not going to assault Mr. Norton. No. I am not going down. I'm not going down that road. I'm not going down that road. I don't believe there's any need to go down that road. All right? I don't believe there's any need. I believe that Mr. Norton is a smart man, and he should understand, and he have data. He have data available to him for him to understand what adjustments he needs to make. I am not going to sit down here and say that Mr. Norton is not qualified to be president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. He's not qualified to be the leader of the PNCR and by extension the leader of APNU. No, that wouldn't be fair. That would not be fair. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up on the end of the program, but I'll say this. As a leader, there's a lot that pass across your desk on a daily, on a weekly, on a monthly, on a yearly basis. You understand me? And it's like, you got to understand is people just lobby these leaders to do what they want them to do. Put their narrative in place. And I could tell you this, that's not going to sit well with a Aubrey C. Norton. You understand me? And that there is one of the reasons why he's gotten some of the backlash that he's gotten from people. For no reason. Basically because he did not agree to their narrative. Like I said before, when the honey is right in your grasp, you back your leader and you get to the honey. Get the honey, dispatch of the other team, then let's have a discussion here. You know, I back you all the way here, but here are the issues that I have. Smart, right? You're already in the promised land before you start the discussions. Don't put the carriage before the horse. And there's where we can figure out those who are learned and intelligent and those who work off of their emotions. Right? Is there adjustments to be made? Absolutely. No one is perfect. No one is perfect, including myself. No one is. Peep through the comments. Michael Fraser. We need more traffic lights in the town of Linden. All right. To the PPP government, you heard that. Michael Fraser is saying that they need more traffic lights in the town of Linden. Okay, Mr. Edgel, you guys got a massive $1.5 trillion budget. All right. Michael Fraser is simply asking for some traffic lights in the town of Linden, and he might be asking for some street lights too. Okay, so please check out Linden when it comes to traffic light and overall lighting. I know that you guys don't do much in Linden. All right, I know that you guys don't do much in Linden. You know, I gotta check in with Conan, see if Conan could give us an update if anything was done about the dumping issue that he would have exposed. And that was critical what Conan did there, you know. That was a critical piece of work right there. All right, because to have garbage there, including hospital garbage, that is dangerous. That stuff should have been incinerated. That stuff should have been buried deep, should not have been exposed out there. You're talking about diseases and mutations, amongst other things, being exposed out there. Brother Conan went and he uncovered all of that stuff. Linden is a beautiful place. Region 10 is beautiful. All right? Region 10 is a beautiful place. But look what the PPP is doing to Region 10. They're ravaging it. But I say this to call on the highlighters and all the people of Linden. Don't give up your tongue. Not just Linden, the people of Linden and Region 10. Do not give up your tongue. It is beautiful. Don't let anybody come and bully you and talk about tourist attraction. No, 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 no. No. You guys have the leverage. That is your tongue. That is your tongue. And also thanks to Member of Parliament, Brother Sharma Raheem Solomon had a very powerful speech yesterday in closing. Very, very powerful. All right? Very powerful. Not forgetting Apostle Nigel London. Miss Simon say, and they are still hating on him. These people are wild. Yeah. I say to everybody, you guys should back up a little bit. And to Mr. Norton, I say just come forward, man, and speak to people. Speak to people. Oh, Matthew Dennison is asking me a question. Wayne, the main concern is the Cuban doctors are leaving Guyana. Well, you know something, Mr. Dennison? In most cases, you see this too. People get a new girlfriend and they forget about the old girlfriend. They forget about the value that the whole girlfriend bring. They forget everything. And they jump in the bed with a new one. And a lot of times that new girlfriend does end up deceiving them. Right? It's always the same for men. Your wife at home, you know what you have. You live with her and everything. Right? You want to have the little sweet girl out there. You haven't lived with her. You don't be with her 24/7. You don't know too much, right? You don't know too much. I understand that there will be a delegation of U.S. nurse doctors that would be heading down to Guyana. Not permanently. Right? That's what I've heard. I haven't seen any concrete, But and Maya Motley was saying it, and she quoted very well that we in the Caribbean, we cannot, and in CARICOM, we cannot forget what Cuba would have done for all of us with making medical personnel available to come and work across our nations. You got to ask yourself the question. The people that are here now, where were they? How many lives those Cuban doctors would have saved over time? But again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the product of who you voted for. I can tell you this, though. Had an Aubrey C. Norton been sitting there today as president, his answer to that would have been not so fast. Not so fast. Have you gone through the diplomatic channels with them? I believe you should go through the diplomatic channels with them. And I believe that I can be a middleman to help to foster these engagements. Right? I believe that was the correct. I believe in diplomacy in everything. Because sometimes when you quick to war, man, it can slam you back. Right? And when you're going to go to war, ladies and gentlemen, you have to have it well planned out strategically. Right? You guys see what's going on in the strait right now, where 20% or maybe a little more than 20% of the world's oil has to pass through there. You see what's happening there? Was there a strategy in place to combat that? Was that ever thought of? You got to ask yourself the question. You don't just jump to things. You gotta really sit down and think through, right? And sometimes you can't underestimate your enemy. This I believe has turned out to be a bigger fight than was expected. All right. I'm just saying. Going through your comments, ladies and gentlemen. Conan, there's a lot of big ups in here for you, Mr. Conan Marshall. I'm just letting you know that the people are giving you a lot of shout outs. You need to keep the momentum going. You and the highlighters are doing a very, very good job. From time to time, I see Mr. Mark Anthony Benchop. He goes over and he joins the guys in the morning and stuff. And they have very, very edifying conversations. And that's what we need. That's what we need. We need to continue to edify and to teach our people. We got to remember that Rome was not built in a day. This is not going to be accomplished in one day. All right. We're talking about 23 years and I would say 5, but I believe that, we were making an impact in the last 5 years, but it's going to take more than that. Right? It's going to take more than that. It's going to take this experience of this. Well, I hope that they're not there for 5 years. But this period is going to also be a good example. And you know something, guys? I see this cash distribution thing came out quick. And I said, oh, nobody thought of this. The fact that this war has a direct relationship with oil prices, meaning that oil prices have went up to over $100 a barrel. It's going to be a tremendous amount of additional revenue coming in for Guyana. So it makes a lot of sense to give out a cash distribution at this time because you know that you have a surplus coming in. You know that you have revenue that was not bargained for coming in. So it covers, right? You never thought that, oh, we have additional revenue coming in. Well, maybe we can make this cash transfer 200,000 or we can make it 150,000. Remember, Guyanese, is you guys voted for this. You guys voted for this. The PPP are going to be very exact with you guys. You guys have nothing to get. This government is going to give you nothing. Okay? Other people are going to come from the outside and they're going to take Guyanese jobs. Paying more to the outsider than the born and bred Guyanese. Just imagine that. And the same president cry foul that Guyanese people are not educated enough for some of the job openings that are available. So therefore, they are forced to hire external resources. Ladies and gentlemen, before I would have said something like that, I would have stitched my mouth up, especially since I am sitting at the hem. Whose responsibility is that? Instead of having billboards of all kind of people, yourself included, Irfan Ali, and all of y'all across Guyana, y'all should have had billboards advertising workshops. Y'all should have go into Barnum little book, have a nice little summary called The Works of LFS Barnum. Y'all should have went into and created a summary like that, flick it open, and bring back the Guyana National Service. And educate those young people in the streets. Those same people who just end up becoming robbers. Y'all call them lowlifes and thieves, but they are product of y'all government. Yes, PPP. That PPP government, a lot of them was born within that 23 years under you guys, where they would have seen and heard as young people and seen in the newspaper all those extrajudicial killings, amongst other things. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are preparing to wrap up. In 10 minutes, we're going to be wrapping tonight's program. But I must say that this has been a healthy discussion, and we need to continue to have these. For the next 10 minutes, I'll just peruse through your comments, because listen, over to you is a program where I don't just get to speak, but I got to see what people are saying. All right. Jamal Aziz is asking who is going to make the changes to a clean voters list and biometrics. Jamal Aziz, and there's a good point. But when you have a $1.5 trillion budget, you have more than enough money and resources available to you to be able to have a house-to-house registration. That's what I believe needs to be conducted now, so that you will have a close to exact measure of how many people you have in the country. You would also be able to depict how many Venezuelans you have living in Guyana, and also people from other nations that are living in Guyana. Right? We have a lot of people in Guyana who don't want to farm. The people of Haiti love farming. Let some of them in, give them land, ask them to farm, create certain subsidies for them, create certain incentives for them. You wouldn't do that though. You wouldn't do that though, because you're looking to have a population that is predominantly Indo. That is what you guys are looking to have. People have to bring the facts, man. People have to bring the facts. But Brother Jamal Aziz, we need people on the ground. We need an exercise to be conducted where people go house to house, do house-to-house registration. We need to start building strong databases in Guyana so that our data is up to point and accurate. All right, we're supposed to be quote unquote the fastest growing economy in the world, but yet you have no reforms at the Guyana Elections Commission. You don't have any reforms there. But Guyana is in the process of transformation, where you're seeing all kind of buildings and all different things going on. But people's rights to vote is being infringed upon by government. Biometrics and new voters list, we got to fight for that. Okay? Protest moves mountains. Got to protest. Not one day. Not one day. All right. Jennifer, Mr. Caesar, without a coalition, PPP will stay in power. The opposition parties have to coalesce. You said it. You said it. Okay? You have said it, Denise. Jennifer, you said it. Miss Maxine Monroe said, let us keep looking to see which party is going to make this possible. Well, I hope everybody wake up on a certain side of the bed and decide that they're going to come together and we're going to get this right. There's no one person that's going to change Guyana. There's no one leader that's going to change Guyana. All right? If Guyana changes, ladies and gentlemen, all of you present on this program this evening and others who watch other programs are equally a part of that change. Okay? There's no one person that's going to change anything in Guyana. So all those who are looking to be tapped on the back and to be known as the ultimate game changer, there's no ultimate game changer. We're all going to play a part. There's a part for everybody to play in this film or movie. Or if we want to call it a fight. Chandel Griffith. Some Guyanese didn't have no sense. Could you believe they trade $100,000 a month for a one-time picking? Well, I don't know if it would have been $100,000 a month, but I know over the time, I believe that you guys would have gotten, if the APNU would have sat there. And with this surplus of revenue coming in because of the tremendous rise in the oil prices, you guys would have definitely got some additional money, and you would have gotten cash distribution once every year or twice every year. Because look, not single-handedly, but this would have helped tremendously in eradicating poverty. I've never said money is not going to play a role. Money is going to absolutely play a role, but it must be a consistent flow of money, and your people must be educated that they are using those funds the correct way. Right? And then together, we will bring down the poverty index, eventually eradicating poverty holistically. You need programs in place, strong programs, strong individuals to lead those programs. All right. When I say strong individuals, not just looking within the context or within the confines of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. I have got some very, very, very good friends. Some of them are on this program who are former teachers. Some of them were former data analysts, amongst other things. And they would do a great job, whether it is teaching courses on Zoom or whether it is going down to Guyana for a few months in person and teaching, right? And that's how you build a nation, man, through education. Education has to be a massive part of it, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, what we have is sheer fighting, and cost of living continue to skyrocket, and inflation going through the roof. So it doesn't matter sometimes how much money we use to try to patch things up. I can tell you this. Sometimes having too much money circulating also causes inflation, just to let you guys know. So this has to be, great analysis, great feasibility studies have to be done here. It has to be analyzed correctly and executed correctly. And how can that be done? You must have competent people in place in order to execute such tasks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of tonight's program. I just want to thank each and every one of you for joining. And just remember that tomorrow evening, Sunday evening, we will be right back here for another program of Over to You, a program for the people, by the people. Ladies and gentlemen, also before I go, a young gentleman lost his life cruelly on the Linden Highway, his motor vehicles and a massive truck. We talk every night before we leave here on this program. Be careful as you traverse the highways and byways of Guyana. Ladies and gentlemen, I really mean it when I see it. When I say it, I am tired of seeing all the blood. I am tired of seeing all the blood. It's like we die so ignorantly in Guyana. Right? Come on, man. Let's pull it together. Let's use the 5 C's. Let's execute the 5 C's, man. All right? I'm begging you guys, man. Life is precious. Life is important. Let's respect our own lives. Let's value our own lives. And by extension, value the lives of others. All right? Until tomorrow night. Love you, love you, love you. Take good care of yourself, brothers and sisters. And don't forget, we're not walking this walk apart from each other. As my good friend, Mr. Victor Ben always say, Wayne, We are locking arms in this walk. Brothers and sisters, we are locking arms and we are walking together. I love you. I love you. I love you. Over to you. Good night.